Today, I'm in the most romantic and seductive place in the world in beautiful Santorini, and I don't have to say anything about that. So I'm going to teach you how to speak without saying a word. The most powerful person never has to say anything because their presence says everything for them. So before you actually start to speak, your body's already in active conversation talking to everyone, and your posture reveals your confidence, your insecurities, and your level of self-awareness. That's the real language that reveals who you think you are and how attractive you think you are. At the end of the day, we're all pack animals who live in a society, and we all have intuition, which is why in this video, we're going to dive into subtle yet attractive body language to help you communicate effectively through nonverbal cues so that you're in control and not sending mixed signals. You're going to increase your level of self-awareness, level up your social magnetism, and embody your power through simply working on your presence. If you're new here, welcome. My name is May, and I'm all about self-improvement, whether that's physical, mental, or spiritual. Yes, I know this is super extra, but a year ago, I hit 100,000 subscribers, and before that, I was actually at the lowest point of my life. So I'm celebrating it. And I know I'm also going to be yapping a lot for a video about nonverbal communication because I'm here to help you become your best self by showing how to communicate with impact, even through the words that you don't speak. So if you think that you're awkward, you're not awkward. You're just not aware of the signals that you're sending and it's affecting you. Most people don't realize that little things like posture, fidgeting, and even where they look when they enter a room is broadcasting certain messages louder than your voice. It affects everything from your relationships to the opportunities that you get in life. It even directly affects how much money you can make. So true confidence is very quiet, but you can feel it. It's an aura. It's the difference between someone who can turn heads and someone who nobody notices. And it's usually in these tiny and almost imperceptible movements, whether it's your breath, your gaze, or even the way that you stand. And scientific studies back this up because according to a landmark research study by psychologist Albert Mehrabian, up to 93% of communication is nonverbal and 55% of that is coming from body language. And then you have 7% from actual words. Oftentimes, we're so stuck in our head that we're so focused on the 7% and not the 93%. So when it comes to your presence, it's not even about your words, it's about how you say things and how you come across in your body language as you're saying it. It's also about how your presence make people feel about themselves, and that truly sticks with them far more than any words that you can ever say. So let's break it all down together. Before we get into today's video, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Lilo. I don't feel ashamed about my body, and I don't feel ashamed, period, and you shouldn't either. I mean, look around me. Everyone's doing photo shoots in Santorini, and I'm just out here filming my YouTube. So whatever your views may be about sensuality and how you choose to connect with yourself, that's your business. But I don't think that anyone should feel guilty about how they're experiencing pleasure. Tuning into your own rhythm, your own response is one of the most powerful ways to build trust with yourself. It brings you closer to your intuition, your boundaries, your desires. And the more at home you feel in your own skin, the more clearly you move through the world. So as an adult toy company, Lilo has created space for that kind of connection. They have elevated a very overlooked experience using design and technology to turn it into something intentional. Very sleek and deeply personal. Their Sonar 3 Cruise doesn't vibrate like traditional toys. It uses sonic waves to stimulate you, both surface and internal, without even needing direct contact. It's gentle and deep like a full-body echo that incrementally builds up with their smooth rise technology so that nothing feels jarring or rushed or too much. So if you've ever been on the edge, just like me right now, and had a toy slow down on you and run out of battery at the worst time, Cruise Control actually fixes that. It keeps the intensity steady even without pressure so that you stay in the zone without getting interrupted. And if you add in 16 intensity levels and 2 features on your app called Finish Me Off for a high intensity boost when you're almost there, and out of control for spontaneous pulses that you do not see coming. No pun intended, and also the entire experience will feel tailored to you. This is all design-led, research-backed pleasure that invites you to be present with your body. So if you've ever been curious about it but you're hesitant, this is your sign. Do not be afraid. I have changed my relationship with my physical body in ways that I did not expect through self-exploration, and it helped me become more confident and more comfortable with myself. So if you're ready to explore something deeper, I cannot recommend it enough. Check the link in my description and check it out for yourself. What walks into the room first before you even do is your energy. Before anyone else sees your face or hears your voice, they can already feel your presence. And that presence or feeling is your nervous system broadcasting signals, whether that's your posture, your breath, and the way that you walk. It all communicates before you do. And I know that sometimes I like to talk about woo-woo spiritual stuff on my channel, but this isn't just some woo-woo talk about about vibes. There's actual science behind this. The human body emits an electromagnetic field that's generated by your heart and the brain. And according to the Heart Math Institute, your heart's energetic field extends up to 3 feet outside of the body, and it changes based on your emotional state. People can literally feel your stress or calm before you even say anything. I remember how I used to be skittish and nervous and very high strung, always in a rush, very tense in my shoulders, and I can never make good eye contact. And I think that people could feel that from me. I didn't actually realize how much it affected the way that I was perceived, which also ended up affecting my entire life, as well as other things like blocking certain opportunities in life, until I started working on mindfulness and stillness and learning to ground my energy first. When you're being very calm and centered, people will respond to you very differently because they will mirror you no matter what you do. They're waiting for you to take the lead. And if they see that you're taking the lead with a very calm and still presence, people really respect that. And if you want to learn how to gain more awareness, I use a meditation app where I listen to a few guided audio tracks every day, and it helps me be in a more colorful mind headspace, and I even listen to it to go to sleep. Over time, meditation helps you learn more about yourself so that you know how to handle situations and you can control yourself better. If you're curious about the app that I use, you can find it in my channel link in bio, or maybe I'll drop it in the video description somewhere. But if you want to learn how to lead with your energy, you can start first with your posture. This means dropping your shoulders, unclench your jaws, and just let your arms rest naturally. And wherever possible, make sure that your palms are visible and not closed. You can even do this by aligning your ears with your shoulders and your chin slightly down, like you're being pulled up by an invisible string, and think vertically and 90 degrees, but not stiff. So let me explain something here. When you have an open posture, like for example, your palms are visible, people subconsciously feel more safe around you. It shows that you're open-minded and you're honest. And I know a lot of these things that I'm mentioning might sound very subtle and even matter of fact, but a lot of you don't do this, and it's deeply wired in human psychology because it's so subtle. It's actually easy for you to practice it. So from an evolutionary perspective, it's an ancient signal of non-violence. Open hand says, I'm not hiding anything and you can engage with me and it's safe to do that. And it goes all the way back to our caveman days and how early humans can figure out who's a friend or an enemy. There's also a study referenced in the definitive book of body language by Alan and Barbara Pease, and it found that individuals who speak with their palms showing are perceived as more trustworthy and honest than people who gestures with their palms hidden or facing down. Very subtle body language work that actually registers on a gut instinct level. So it's very significant. Even in modern day settings, whether you're meeting someone for the first time or you're dating or you're in a job interview, open gestures are actually processed as signals of cooperation. So the next time that you're talking to someone, just let your hands rest and show your palms and avoid crossing your arms or having a defensive body language, like keeping your hands buried in your pockets, for example. Now, if you can have an open body language, it tells people, I am at ease, I am safe and secure, I'm not here to dominate anything, I feel very comfortable, and I'm not shrinking myself for you. Then breathe evenly. Your breath is so important and so underestimated that really it's everything. If you're constantly breathing very fast and shallow, that puts your body in a very nervous and reactive and stressful mode. Whereas slow, intentional breathing lets your nervous system know that you're safe and you're in control and you're present, which then tells everyone around you the same thing because they can feel it. And then lastly, the way that you walk is your rhythm. That's how you enter a space. Are you rushing in? Are you closed off? Are you grounded? You should be firming your feet and you're connected to yourself and your environment. Walking with confidence, like you know exactly where you're going, even though deep down, maybe you don't. I've done a lot of experience myself where I walk into an event or a party, I will either walk in like a pedestrian or I'll walk in like I'm the queen of the room, and the results are so different. When I walk into a room like I own everything, people really do turn heads around to look at me. Even when I'm not saying anything, I'm literally just walking through the door. So yeah, you don't have to be the loudest person to be the most memorable if you're just leading with your presence. And it's about reclaiming your space with quiet confidence, and it's so easy to do this. And your eyes will reveal everything about you before anything else. It reveals your nervous system, your confidence, your level of self-awareness. And most people don't even realize how loud their eyes can get, especially if they're constantly darting around and scanning for whatever it is, whether it's safety or validation, and not realizing that you're actually emitting a frantic energy. People can read that as desperation. And when I used to have a dysfunctional nervous system, that's what I used to do a lot, and I didn't even realize that's what I was doing, and I was being read as skittish. And that's when I realized there's actually a big difference between holding someone's gaze and chasing it. Chasing looks like you're trying to be picked, and holding looks like you picked yourself. So how do you master eye contact that commands respect and naturally draws people in but also does not beg for attention? Confident eye contact is calm and still, and it's selective because there is so much value in confidence. It doesn't overcompensate. The most most magnetic people know how to hold and use their eye contact sparingly, as well as intentionally to make their conversations even more impactful. And it's kind of like having punctuation in a sentence, right? You can say the same words in two different ways and it can be interpreted completely differently. Like, for example, I don't think she did it versus I don't think she did it. This is the same words but different punctuation. Like the first sentence, I don't think she did it, sounds confident. The other one says, I don't think she did it, sounds a little bit hesitant. And you might have heard of different types of eyes like doe eyes, siren eyes, hunter eyes, bedroom eyes. And while these are very viral and probably known for their aesthetic appeal alone, it actually goes deeper than the way that people look. There are different kinds of gazes which give off different energies and they make people feel very specific things. So let's break it down. Siren eyes are like cat eyes. It's a little bit elongated, slightly lifted at the outer corners, low-lidded, subtle, very sultry. And this is also interchangeable with bedroom eyes, where the way that you express yourself is slow, blinking, control, and held gaze, while at the same time, your expression is mysterious and unreadable. But it's not a defensive type of unreadable. There's still a subtle invitation to it. So think about icons like Adriana Lima, Jhené Aiko, and Angelina Jolie, for example. Their gaze doesn't chase for validation. You don't have to perform when you're in that siren energy. This is where you're in control and your stillness gives people the signal to become drawn to you. I have referenced this in an earlier video about looking more attractive, and I talk a lot about vibe and eye contact. And there's this famous interview, at least famous to me, of Jhené Aiko, where the interviewer completely stumbled over his words the second she switched eye contact. And I want you to see this.
Someone is hearing me, someone is recognizing what I'm trying to do. So yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. What do you feel in terms of like...
And next up is doe eyes, which is rounder and more open, and it feels like there's an innocence to it, where it's very curious and disarming and youthful. And it reads softness, emotional availability, and friendly. So for example, you can think of women like Amelia Clark, Audrey Hepburn, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Edie Sedgwick. It's the kind of gaze that actually makes people feel seen and safe, and it invites people to connect with you. Hunter eyes are very deep in focus, usually slightly hooded with upwards cantle tilt, and it's very much compared with prey eyes, where someone might look scared, and the vibe is the exact opposite though. But hunter eyes or predator eyes is a sort of heaviness to it. It's very intense. It's the kind of eye contact that holds people like you're the king watching over your jungle. It's kind of masculine, it's kind of dominant, but it might not be aggressive. Maybe just awareness, like you're a panther watching its prey or something. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's for people who know that they're in power and they're just sitting in it, they're not showing off. And then there are other types of very expressive gazes. There's an evaluative gaze, which is very investigative, like the eyes are narrowed, maybe slightly squinted. It looks like you're thinking, you're calculating, and you see this in people who are quietly sizing up a room. And depending on how this is used, you can either command respect or create distance. And you will see this in a lot of forensic dramas and thrillers. And then there's the inviting gaze, your Tyra Banks smiles. You don't even necessarily have to smile, but it feels warm and kind and open. And the way to practice this is to fully smile with your entire face, including your eyes and your lips, and then stop smiling with your lips. And you relax the rest of your face, but keep your eyes smiling. That's a smize. And it's usually paired with a very relaxed face and open posture, and it demonstrates emotional intelligence without having to show it off. There's also the blank gaze, where it's very emotionally flat and a little bit distant. And I call this the lobotomy eyes. It can be protective if you want it to be, and I see celebrities using this a lot when they're in front of the paparazzi shots. So hide your thoughts so that people don't know what you're thinking. This sort of distance is very intentional, and if not, then at least you're not revealing yourself to people what you're actually thinking about. Sometimes you might not even be thinking of anything, just no thoughts and vibes and just dissociation. And then there's the mysterious gaze, where it's playful eyes, almost flirty if you make it flirty, maybe a slight lift of the brow and maybe a smirk. It makes people lean in and more curious about what you're not saying. So think about Zendaya or Timothée Chalamet, for example. They have very magnetic gazes because it feels almost a bit unpredictable. Like, what are they thinking about? What are they gonna do next? But no matter what your gaze is or the cantle tilt of your eyes, what really matters is the emotional energy behind them. You can have big round eyes and still look very powerful, or you can have sharp features and look very small. So it all comes across as how you hold yourself through your gaze, and that's how you hold people. Because when you learn to hold your gaze first, the world starts to respond differently to you. And this is why I find forensic science to be so interesting, because no matter what you're saying, your body doesn't lie. Before people hear your words, they actually see your gestures, your micro movements, and they read your posture. So if your body language feels defensive or closed off, that's all they remember no matter what you're actually saying. So if open gestures are seen as cooperative, then closed gestures will trigger the opposite. This means defensiveness, possibly danger, and even subconscious fear, and this is very primal. Remember in the first chapter how we talked about how visible palms communicate safety? This is the same thing. The same study from the book by Ellen and Barbara Pease on body language says that basically if someone comes up to you with the hidden hands, they cross their arms, do a fist or a clench, and they close it off, your brain doesn't just ignore that. It will think, are they potentially threatening? Are they hiding something? Are they about to attack me? And you don't even have to have this thought consciously. It just triggers your subconscious mind. And this is what psychologists call a neuroperception of safety. Your nervous system is always looking out for threats or security in any situation. So how do you avoid setting off alarm bells in other people's heads? First of all, uncross your arms. I know it's so easy to do that when you feel uncomfortable, but it tells the world how uncomfortable you are. So just let your body relax and rest your arms by your sides and just place them loosely on your lap and relax your hands and show your palms occasionally when you're talking. Not in like a dramatic, here are my palms kind of way, but just as a natural part of your rhythm. I actually even realized that I talk with my hands a lot and people tell me that all the time. And another thing is you don't want to over-explain yourself because there's a reason why the most powerful person in the room usually says the least amount of words and move the least, and yet they hold more power than anyone else. Stillness is control and it's self-mastery and it's a quiet kind of authority because it already has your attention. It doesn't have to beg for more. So whenever I'm free, I actually like to watch interviews on YouTube with, for example, like CEOs of a company or a public figure and just observe them talking to a room full of people. And I was actually watching this one interview with the fashion designer Yohji Yamamoto, where he talks about his career at the Oxford Union, the debate club at the University of Oxford. And these are not even fashion design students. And most of these students did not even know who he was before the interview, but he's able to literally orchestrate everyone's attention span with so much quiet power, even though he did not say much and his English is not his first language, but everyone is just so mesmerized with him, just clinging on to every single one of his words, even though he didn't say much. So I actually want you to watch this and see how he commands this room and makes everyone fall in love with him.
I forgot the name of the country. Denmark or no? Before Denmark, can you say Northern Ireland famous? Anyway, Northern Ireland. Those countries were so clean, looked so clean, and trees were so high, and the people were so high.
So in his case, it wasn't just about stillness or presence. He's not some young, attractive black cat energy girl or some guy doing the power mudra maneuver when he talks. A lot of his charisma also comes from not pretending to be seen by anything else but himself naturally. And he's not afraid to be so vulnerable and not remembering something in a room full of people. And that's what makes him so naturally captivating and so human that you're just like, wow, I wish I had an uncle like that. Or maybe that's just me. I also wanted to talk about fidgeting for a second because it really weakens your image. It makes you look unstable, unsure, and a little bit distracted. And I say that with a lot of love and respect and empathy because I have been such a huge fidgeter and I constantly fidget all the time without even realizing it, whether it was tapping something with my fingers or my shoes, bouncing my knees, shaking my legs, whatever. I didn't actually realize how it made me come off until I learned that I have ADHD, which explained everything. And I was able to clock it and I'm trying to get better at this. But here's the thing though, even if it's not about nerves or even if it's some unconscious thing that you do, fidgeting makes you look nervous and not sure of yourself. And when you're not comfortable, then other people can pick up on that. And anxiety and nervousness is very contagious. And the same goes if you yap a lot and you're constantly rambling. I know I'm rambling right now, okay? And I love yappers, but if it's too much, like if you're filling out every second with over explaining yourself and yapping because you're afraid of silence, all of that will show in a very subtle way that you're kind of uncomfortable with being still, but actual stillness is what draws people in. Silence is actually not awkward, and the most magnetic energetic people will not rush to fill up any kind of space. They hold their own space and they take their time because people are going to wait for them. They move slower, their gestures are more deliberate, and their pauses feel more intentional, and they feel very grounded in their energy, which makes you want to listen to them. So start by practicing silence and stillness, and maybe do some meditation or something. This doesn't mean to be frozen or robotic, just meaning to move with more intention. Sometimes the most important and attractive thing you can do is to just learn to be, and it's a skill, and someday it's just going to come naturally to you. So most people are actually completely unaware of what they're doing with their hands, which is exactly how they're giving away power. But confident people move their hands with intention. They show their open palms, but not too much. And then of course, when your hands are hidden, it actually also sends subtle signals that shows that you're close up. But beyond that, how you use your hands will change the tone of your presence. For example, with mudras, these are very symbolic hand positions, and they've been used for centuries in meditation and in spiritual traditions, especially in Hinduism and Buddhism. But even outside of those contexts, it holds non-verbal authority in conversations, and some people might call mudras the secret of the 1% to dominating with just hand gestures. I'm not going to gatekeep. Like I said, if you watch CEOs talk and give public speeches, you will notice that some of them may be using these mudras. So here are a few that's worth knowing about. The steeple mudra is known as the Sepana mudra, or the mudra of detachment. It's where the fingertips of both of your hands are touching with your palms apart. You will see a lot of confident speakers use this mudra. It shows quiet certainty. It says that I am in control, but at the same time, you're letting go of expectations and being detached. You can use this when you're making a strong point and then release it. And then there's the Gyan mudra, which is the mudra of knowledge. This is where your thumb and your index finger touches and your other fingers are gently extended. It naturally forms when you're tuned in and when you're calm and reflective. So doing this gives you more clarity, and it helps you become more receptive to things so that you can use it when you're listening very deeply or when you're making a point. And then there's the Anjali mudra, which is the mudra of offering. This is literally the prayer emoji where your palms are pressed together at the center of the chest. There's also a more toned down version of it where your hands are slightly close together to your heart, and it projects honesty and presence. It feels warm and still without being too stiff and being too soft, and it represents balance and sincerity. And then this is the last mudra that I'm going to be talking about, which is the Varada mudra, which is the mudra of giving, where you have one hand extended, palm up or open. This is perfect for emotionally sensitive and difficult conversations, and even a more subtle version like having one hand resting open and you're showing that hand invites openness and trust. And it tells the other person that you're here with them and you're not being defensive, and you're actually welcoming a very compassionate dialogue. The point of all of this is not to memorize hand gestures so that you can control everything. It's actually to become more aware of how your hands are helping you communicate your messages, and perhaps even helping you stay grounded when you're feeling nervous. If you can just remove the burden from your brain and let your body and hands do the talking, that's how you can also radiate calm confidence. So if your body is fluent in languages, it will do most of the talking and the connection building for you. And one of the fastest ways to build trust is through subtle mirroring. Basically, this means quiet cues of alignment that shows that we're on the same wavelength and you're not copying other people's movements. It's more like dancing like a tango or a waltz. People naturally already mirror each other when they have a very good conversation, whether that's the pace or how fast or how slow you're talking, the tone of the voice or your posture. So once you are aware of that, you can use mirroring in a subtle way to build more ease and match people's energy. And if they cross a leg, you might also cross yours too a few minutes later. And if they slow down their speech, you might also slow yours down a little bit to show that you're following them. And these are tools for resonance. It makes people feel seen and understood. It validates them, and it helps people feel safe with you, which means that they will remember you. And then there's the head tilt. It's very simple but powerful. If you tilt your head slightly to one side when you're listening, it shows a genuine interest in the conversation, and it's almost a very non-threatening body language where you're exposing your neck very slightly, which makes you seem a teeny bit vulnerable. And if you want to talk about evolution in caveman language, it signals safety and you're not being a threat. It's also a very subtle way to soften your dominance if you're someone who naturally comes across as very intense or aggressive. So if you're up here, you're taking it down a notch and you're actually leveling with people with a tilt of the head. Lastly, there's the lean in. It's not like you're dominating people's spaces or anything, of course. It's more so like a very slight forward motion when someone's saying something very meaningful and it tells them that you're here to listen to them. This is the opposite of withdrawing. People will feel the lean in instantly, like, wow, their words are so important to you. And then when it's your turn to speak, you lean back slightly, which helps you reclaim your space. And this is basically reinforcing the natural ebb and flow of rhythm. And when it comes to conversation and your body language, you don't even have to say anything. This is an important part of social fluency and being able to read the room and lead a conversation with your body by slightly shifting your posture and learning to respond to someone's rhythm. And the more that you can observe someone, the more fluent you can become in your body language. You don't even have to do a catwalk in order to be remembered. remember. And in fact, people try way too hard to look confident instead of just being confident. And that's the problem. The way that you walk, whether you're rushing or floating or dragging your feet, it tells the world how you feel about yourself and how you expect to be treated. And if you want to talk about choreography and dancing, like with mirroring, for example, walking is all about rhythm and awareness and shifting energies. Like, for example, when you're thinking about entering any room at all, whether that's your cue to just go in, most people will shrink up without even realizing it. Especially if it's a room full of powerful people and they feel intimidated, they will take small and quiet steps. They will slouch their posture forward and rush to sit down in the corner of the room and avoid everyone. That's literally prey energy. It tells people, I don't want to be seen. I just want to be a wallflower and disappear. But a confident walk is just deliberate and calm, and you're in your presence. So I like to imagine myself seeing my aura around me like a white ball around my body, and that's how much physical space I'm actually going to take up when I enter a room. So here are a few things that you can focus on to walk with more confidence. First of all, you keep your head up, not too tilted or too far back like you're super arrogant, just 90 degrees aligned, graceful. Your eyes are looking forward and ahead. You're not scanning the room skittishly and analyzing everything, and you're just here, you're present, your shoulders are back, your chest relaxed, no puffing of the shoulders or anything, just don't slouch and keep everything open 90 degrees and then relax. And then when you walk, your arms are swinging slightly with your hands visible. So no clenching, no fidgeting, no robotic arm movements, just natural rhythm. And then your steps have to be in rhythm as well. So you're not stomping on the ground or you're dragging your feet or making too much or too little noise. Every step is purposeful and you're just waiting for the world to arrive to you whenever you want to be, and there's no need for you to rush. And this is not about everyone watching you as you enter the room. It's more about where your comfort levels are with yourself and your body and where you are. When you learn to channel this, you start to move more differently in a more grounded and more fluid way when you're tuned into your environment, and that's what draws attention. So if you believe that you belong, then you do belong. You don't have to overthink this as long as you're walking like you mean something, because you do. So guys, try practicing some of these subtle energy shifts and movements until they feel natural to you in a way that honors your self-image, because how you carry yourself is how you are going to carry your entire life. So if you're still watching this, affirm with me in the comments, my presence speaks before I do. And if you like this video, subscribe and come back to my channel. I make videos like these every week to help you glow up from the inside out. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.